Hello, hello, hello. I am on. We are live.
Oh,
My
we're
computer.
live?
Yeah. You all right?
Yeah, I was going to check my hair.
Oh, I got to check mine too. Hold on.
Yeah.
So, welcome y'all to the Dr. Dare Show. I am sorry, my computer decided to shut down, and I had to reboot it, and it's on now. Um, And so, welcome to the Dr. Dare Show live on Facebook and YouTube. We are talking about the subject PTSD, and we have author and photographer Paul. How do you pronounce your last name? I do not want to.
Posy, just like the flower.
Posey. Posey. Gotcha. Okay. And so, when you come in, just check in and let us know how your week is, how your week has been, and we will talk to Paul um, momentarily. So,
Okay.
Paul, how was your week?
Man, I had a powerful week. Currently, I'm in a cohort with Georgetown University out of DC, and I'm
Okay.
working on getting some entrepreneur classes up under my belt because I want to be more into my business and help other people to start their own business or increase their business. Um,
Okay.
Being helpful really helps you move along with your mental health journey.
Yes. Yes. So I don't know if you know this or not, but I am a mental health therapist. I work for a private practice. Um, I've been doing therapy since 2013, I believe.
Hmm.
And so, yeah. And so I'm glad you're here to talk about PTSD because, in society, we use these terms a lot, but a lot of people don't really know what it actually means. So I'm glad that you're here to share that. So
Hmm.
you have several books.
Yes,
How many books have you written?
I'm up to 15 now.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, next month I'll start one more.
Really?
I've been inspired. Yeah, sometimes it's like a fart, better out than in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because you don't want that information, what you're thinking about, just to totally just sit inside of you. If you put it in a book, it'll change your
Mhm.
life. That's what I
Mhm.
say. Write the book, change your life.
Gotcha. Awesome. So we're waiting for people to come in. I'm just going to check to make sure that I am showing live because my computer was really decided to act up, and I just got in from the gym teaching a Zumba class.
Okay.
So
I'm up to
other
stretching now.
Oh, are you?
Oh yeah.
Your friend is on, Kelly,
Yes,
Nicole
Kelly. Yes,
Kelly.
yes, yes.
Okay, now we're seeing people come in. So hey Kelly, hey Karen, you are live. Thank you, Karen, because I couldn't tell. Um, so Paul, that's interesting. I'm on the verge of I'm searching for my own building to start my own practice. So maybe in a few months. So starting my own business basically.
Yes.
And so I may have to call you and have a chat with you
Yeah,
about
I'm here to
that.
help. I'm here to
Okay.
help. Just like to be a therapist. Now, when you said since 2013, you're in therapy, or 2013 you started your coursework.
Oh, I graduated from Mercer with my master's in clinical mental health counseling and started doing an internship at Anchor Psychiatric Hospital and Life Life University, but now I work for a private practice.
Okay.
So I actually see clients. I have a full caseload. I see clients with PTSD, anxiety, depression, all of bipolar, all of that, eating
Wow.
disorders, all of
Hmm.
that stuff. So usually during the week, I teach a class. I teach Zumba on Monday nights and Friday nights, and then Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I'm in the at the private practice doing therapy from like 4 to about 9 o'clock with different clients. So yeah. So I'm glad y'all are on. Y'all are letting me know that we are live. Let me know how your week has been. I know for me, the week has went really, really, really fast. Been really, really busy. And so tonight, if you're just joining, welcome to the Dr. Dare Show live on Facebook and YouTube. We will be talking to Paul Posey,
Hmm.
um, and the title is "What it is like to live with post traumatic stress disorder or PTSD." So we usually give people to like 8:40 to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just to I know it's Friday evening. Some people are getting situated and coming from work and all of that type of stuff. Um, yes. So I'm gonna be sharing it on my phone because now I'm seeing that it is live. I'm gonna share this real quick. Mm, mm, mm. Kelly, are you off tonight?
We can type in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find my way over there.
Yeah. See, so hello.
Oh, why don't I just say, "Hey, Kelly"? There you go. She's become one of my favorite people. I tell you, she's a student of mine, a prodigy. She's already doing what she's doing. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
enhancing what she brings to the table, and I think that's
Gotcha.
so cool. That's so cool. She wants to grow.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
Go, Kelly. Yeah, she's the one that introduced us via social media, and
Maybe she thought I
yeah.
needed a therapist. Is that what it was? She's like, I got the guy for you. Maybe she thought that. No, but I totally adore working with my therapist. It's been since 2016 I got started.
Okay.
So, and now later we'll get into how I ended up in her office because that is
Gotcha.
important.
Yes, it is. Because mental health, I know for the black community, is it was taboo for a long time. We just didn't go to therapy. Some of us didn't know what therapy was. Some of us felt like we couldn't afford it,
Hmm.
or not wanting to tell a stranger
Hmm.
your personal business. So that keeps a lot of people from um, therapy. Kelly said y'all had some great talks.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the universe brings the people together. You have something for them; they have something for you. That to me, that's purpose. Purpose is being at the right place at the right time for the right people.
Hmm.
Hands down. It's not about the job you take. It's not about the money you make. It's just all our answers are in other people.
Right.
And if you don't talk to them, you're not going to get it.
Exactly. Kelly says yes, indeed. We got 1 minute and we'll start then because people will start coming in. Um, and welcome back, everybody. I've been gone for the whole month of April. It was my birthday. I went on a cruise. I went to Nashville, just took a self care break from the show. And so this is my first night back. So I'm sure I'm going to have to build, build my audience back up, but they'll come in. Yeah. Okay, so we will start. Welcome to
Mhm.
the Dr. Dare Show. We have our special guest, Paul Posey, author and photographer. Good, somebody shared it. Thank you. Um, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself,
Mhm.
your background, and all of that stuff. And then uh, people can ask questions and things like that. So
Roger that.
I'll let you have it, Paul.
Ready right now?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Paul Posey. I was born in Gary, Indiana, back in 1967. They was making strong kids back then in
Mm-hmm.
'67. Um, I was born and raised in Gary, family of five. There was five of us, four boys and a girl. And my mom was a steel worker.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she was alcoholic
Okay.
and she had several marriages. So the modeling of family and things like that wasn't there. But I joined the Marine Corps and I went in. I did 4 years, got out, did 3 years out. Then I went back and finished 23 years of active service.
Wow.
Um, yeah, that was part of my plan. In the 10th grade, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a truck driver, and I wanted to be a photographer. So
Okay.
I'm finally a photographer. I've done the other jobs already.
Okay.
Um,
Because that was
and
going to be one of my questions is what
yeah,
made you decide to go into the military?
watching my mom work at the steel mill,
Hmm.
knowing that I remember one day I was asking her how old she was, and she told me she was 37 at the time. Then I
Okay.
was in ROTC in school, and they says, "Hey, if you join the military, you get to retire at 38." And I was
Oh,
like, "That's for me.
right.
That's me." I mean, that was a no-brainer.
Hmm.
And then I joined the military, and I got off my path of my goal, and I quickly found out that I needed to go back because some of the things I needed came from the Marine Corps, and it would
Hmm.
carry on the rest of my life. And so when I got out, that was just it was a horrible thing because my first MOS, my occupation, was infantry,
Okay.
and then there's no jobs on the outside for infantry besides being a janitor or a policeman. And
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. There's not well where I'm from Gary, Indiana. So it's either the steel mill,
Steel mill. Hmm.
yeah, or move away because trouble was already there, but trouble's not an occupation. It
Right.
was going to prison. So I just went on ahead and went back in the military, got six different more jobs. And when I got ready to get out in 2009, I was ready to be employed, but happily because I retired. And unfortunately, through PTSD and a couple of other ailments, I don't have to work, but
Okay.
I'm in a position where I want to work and I want to strive. I think sometimes I do more work in my personal business with the books and the photography than most people who work a 40-hour week. Nothing
Get
against
that.
them, but that
Hmm.
drive was already in me, and I'm just utilizing the drive just to keep doing great things and helping other people.
I love that. I love that. So, and this may sound silly. What is infantry? Infantry?
The
Like
guys with the
what?
guns, the combat guys, combat guys.
Oh, so that's why you didn't really leave with a skill set, but to
Right,
to
but that
fight. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Hey, Michelle.
Good evening,
Okay.
everybody.
And so you'll see, Paul, you'll see their questions pop up on the
Okay,
bottom, just like I just put Karen's thing. Agree, God sends you answers and other people.
that
Do you
normally
see
comes at
that
the
down
top,
there?
right?
It
That
might be on the top of yours, but it's on the bottom of mine. Do you
okay, it's at the
see?
top.
You see, Michelle said hello. You see that?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how did you get into writing books, and what was your first book that you wrote?
Oof. Therapy. How about we get to
That after you talk
and
about,
then I'll bring us to the books. How about that?
gotcha.
Okay.
It's your
So
show.
the thing, yeah, because if we don't do it, then we have to go backwards. I don't want to go backwards.
Okay.
So it's about 2006. I started showing signs of PTSD. That's as far as back I can remember. And if you're dealing with TMJ, grinding of
Mhm.
your teeth,
Uh
there's a
huh.
good chance of that. Depression, anxiety, extreme anger, suicidal ideology,
Mhm.
homicidal thoughts.
Mhm.
These thoughts are unnatural, but they happen so slowly. You think that's just a moment here and a moment there, but over time you'll figure out there's a pattern, and
Okay.
that pattern should be paid attention to. So by the time I got help in 2016, I think I told them in 2009, just before I got out, that I needed some help. But it's like, once you get out, you'll be okay, or you're used to achieving goals. Now you're not
Mhm.
achieving goals, so you're not adjusting to that. I'm like, no, something's wrong with me. And it wasn't
Okay.
until 2016 I was working at the VA, and there was an altercation where I was choking a veteran. Well, I didn't want to, but I
Mhm.
blacked out, and they had to show me on tape exactly what happened, what took place. And that was the toughest thing for me, is because I was out of control. So I'd
Gotcha.
been experiencing isolation
Mhm.
from my family, divorce, not in a relationship. So you really don't know the temperature of yourself over time. It's like the frog in the bucket, the frog in the pot. You put
Mhm.
a frog in the hot water, he'll jump out. But if you put him in a pot and you slowly turn up the temperature, stay and die. When you're
Gotcha.
when you're by yourself, you're just slowly grinding, 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 and the water's getting hot. And majority, you are stoking the temperature to make it hot
Mhm.
because you're by yourself. Road rage, arguing in stores and things like that. It's just you're just you're so jacked up, and you
Mhm.
don't know it. So what happened was right after that altercation at the job, the very next week there was an older gentleman there who had saw it, and I wanted to apologize to him of what he saw me do, and he told me I needed help. He
Cause he
says,
saw
"You
it.
need it." Finally,
Mhm.
yes, he pointed at me, says, "You need help." And all I could do was surrender to the idea that I needed help because my kids weren't barely talking to me. I mean, I'm alone and I'm forcing people away from me. I'm having these bad attitudes consistently.
Mhm.
One time I had road rage. I was in the parking lot. I wasn't even in the car. So that's how bad you get. And if you don't, someone don't tell you, and
Mhm.
you're alone. I said, don't be an island. Then you'll just fall right into that trap.
And I tell
So
people that all the time. When you isolate yourself or stay at home, you tend to have what we call in therapy ruminating thoughts, those thoughts that you were talking about. And then a lot of people believe that all of those thoughts are true, and then they act on some of those thoughts. And a lot of those thoughts aren't true from what I've dealt with clients in dealing with PTSD and anxiety and all of those things.
yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And so I was being obedient, and I went to my family doctor, and he says you can pick or whoever you want to be your therapist because I'm retired
Okay.
military. So
Mhm.
I looked through Google, I found someone local, and I was in her office 3 days later after I found her. And so here comes the books. Here's where the books come
Okay.
from.
Okay.
So I had to give her my history, and I'm just crying, probably because I finally found space that I can actually talk about
Right.
everything that bothered me, not so much as being addressed. Talking about it and addressing it is two different things
Right.
because the addressing part may be someone else.
Mhm.
So people think, you just go to therapy to talk. No, that's a part of it. Addressing is the other part of it.
Mhm.
So she says to me, "Do you think you can write a book?" And I was like, "Well, in the military, did we
Mhm.
lose?" Okay, let my video went out. In the military, it's you can write down chronologically things that happen in the day. This happened at 8:30. This happened at 8:45. Things like that. So I said I can pretty much write things down like that.
Like a
She said,
timeline almost.
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. So I said I can I could probably write a book. And she says I want you to come back next week with three titles of a book and the day you're going to quit working for other people because
Mm.
I'm going to work. I had been late for work for a whole year. That's another sign.
What was causing you to be late, if you don't mind sharing
I
that?
did not like who I was working with. I did
Oh,
not like who I was working with. And it was not an environment that would nurture me because I'm a 23-year veteran, gunnery sergeant. Um, I'm a driven man. So there's no help for the strong, according to them.
right,
And you can't speak like you have PTSD. So
right.
no one knew, and none of the social workers. I worked at the HUDVASH program
I
where
saw
we
that.
house homeless
Mhm,
veterans. So there
mhm.
was 40. I'm working with 40 social workers. So no one caught on. Well, because I'm an employee.
Right.
So, right. So they didn't look at me like that, but I really needed the help, just like the veterans I was helping.
Mm,
So I came back the next week, like she asked, and I told her I would stop working. This was in October of 2016. I
mhm.
told her I would stop working December 31st. And I had five titles and I had written half of the first book in a week.
Oh, wow.
And in the first 2 months, I wrote five books because I wanted to be better. I wanted to be better for my children because I couldn't find a reason for myself because I had made so many bad decisions, and I felt bad for so long. In 2008, I wanted to take my life due to my piss poor decision making abilities.
Mhm.
And you had that in the Marine Corps coming down on me on some unjust things. And that's when my armor cracked in 2006. And I was
Mhm.
really in bad shape in 2008, 2009. And so I went on ahead and resigned, but resigned without the help. So you seeing how this is working, right?
Right. Right.
You're being let out there into the public
Society.
arena,
Mhm.
and they don't give a damn about how you feel, and you're another strong male, so there's no help or anyone asking you, are you okay, do you
Right.
need this? And so that's when
So
the
you're
book
still
started.
not realizing. I mean, at while you're in therapy, you're starting to realize something was wrong. Because did you and your therapist discuss PTSD or anything like that? Or
Yes, as a matter
okay.
of fact, when to go home and to play on YouTube the symptoms of PTSD,
Mhm.
when you think there's nothing wrong with you. Now I'm crying because I feel like I'm broken, and no one knew I was broken. So there you go, right?
Mhm.
So that led to my first book. So I was so devastated by the Marine Corps that that was not my first book. My first book is called I Am My Own Dad. I think it's laying around here somewhere. I
I am my own dad.
I Am My Own Dad. It talks about how my mother told me my dad was dead, and I ended up meeting him at age 27.
Oh
and
wow.
and that was pretty horrible right there,
Mhm.
to think, to meet this man. So what happened was, and this is in the first book, my wife at the time, back in 1995, was going to purchase a car,
Mhm.
and she was purchasing it from my dad. My name was on the front of the car, and he asked her, what part of the Posey family are you in? And she says, I'm married to Paul Posey. And she says, "What's your name?" And he says, I'm James Posey." She said, "James Edward Posey?" Yes, because I knew his name.
Mhm.
And I was on the phone with him within minutes talking to him. But after talking to him and telling him I'm going to be there next week, I called my mother. And my mother, I said to her, um, "I thought you told me my dad was dead." And my mother
Mhm.
said, "Shit, he was dead to me." And I was now I'm starting to cry. I'm a
Mhm.
staff sergeant in the Marine Corps in 1995,
Mhm.
and I'm in my uniform at a payphone. That's how long ago it was.
Mhm.
And I'm bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, when I remember asking you, she see, it was five of us. We have different fathers,
Okay.
the five kids, and so I remember asking you, and I remember you telling me that he was dead. But at some point, you should have just told me, what about me? And my
Right.
mom said, "What the fuck about you?"
Wow.
And now I'm floored. I didn't talk to her for 2 years, because that was to me I thought was the final straw that broke the camel's back.
Right. Right.
So here's where life balance comes into play.
Okay.
Either your work life is going to be great and you hide in that, or your home life is going to be great, or you're
And
going
you
to hide
hide
in
in
that.
that. Mhm.
Or if you're blessed, both of them are great.
That work
So
life balance.
that's why
That
they call it the
balance.
work life balance, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So by 2006 to 9, both were down, and there becomes the crack in the armor. So um, I met him that week, later
Mhm.
on that week,
Mhm.
and I walked away from him the second day. So it's all in the book. I don't want to take us
Yeah.
all the
Don't.
way through that journey, but I left him 2 days later was the last time I saw him,
Wow.
because I had to make a decision about how important my kids were to me, not to deal with him,
Mhm.
and that's real important. So
Mhm.
that all came out in the beginning. I hit the gas
Mhm.
when I got to her office, because I had the room to make that change as fast as I wanted to go. And most people think, I think it takes about 6 years to get to be whole. 6 years.
Okay.
That's what I think. It's about six
Okay.
years. Um,
Why do you put that timeline on the healing process?
because you have to address everything that's stuck inside of you.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Which is
Stop.
why a lot of people don't like therapy, because it's like you said earlier, it's not just talking about the thing, it's actually addressing it, digging into what has caused you to think this way, be this way, what hurt, what did you feel. All of those things are important when you're in therapy. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Everything must be looked at. You take it out, you look at it, you shake
Yep.
it, and am I gonna keep it? Is there somebody I need to talk to? Who does this belong to? This
Yep.
is not mine. This issue is not mine,
Yep.
and this belongs to you. So that started me to really dig down and hit the gas on becoming who I wanted to be.
Mhm.
Back when I got my divorce in 2011,
Mhm.
I was disappointed in me because I am the hub for the family. And when I crash, they all crash.
Crashed.
And they really needed me to do my job. And I felt like I was letting them down.
Mhm.
And so I did not go plead my case to my kids. I dug down deep and I started working on me. I spoke. Now we get into my second. Well, my second book was called Unloved, where I recognized that my mother, she told me in 2012. Now, mind you, writing in 16, but this happened in 2012. Well, let's go
Mhm.
back to 2010. I decided self-reflection and self-correction
Mhm.
because I had to reflect, and no one there was there to tell me this is what you did wrong, and no one's there to smooth it over. Well, it wasn't really that bad, or you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
It was just me and the truth sitting in the room, and I decided I did not like me, and whatever I was doing that put me in a position to lose my family, I need to work on that right then and there, right?
Mhm.
But I didn't know my why. See,
Okay.
and this is what people have to understand. Your why, once you know your why, you can actually change the behavior.
Right.
If you don't and you try to change the behavior without
That
knowing that
why.
why, you can
Mhm.
run right into it again. And
Right.
it's not going to work no matter how. You can't pray it away. You can't do any of that
Yep.
until you really address it.
And that's why I
So
always tell clients, the more you become aware of something, that's when you can start to change it. But if you're not
absolutely.
even aware of what's causing the thing, it's gonna stay with you because you think it's just my personality or my no you I and I always tell clients this. They go back to childhood. We learn a lot of stuff in childhood,
Hmm.
and we learn how to cope with things in childhood. And sometimes when you become an adult, you still try to cope that same way, and it doesn't work. And that's where the conflict starts.
Absolutely. The internal conflict. And that's why it takes 6 years. I say 6 years because you're going to falsely select this. You fixed this and you thought you fixed it, and you're going to trip over it again.
Yep.
And then you're gonna need to, oh, wait a minute, I thought that was it, but it's the one that's under that I need to address. And when you start addressing everything,
Mhm.
you start winning.
Mhm.
Now, is that going to ruffle some feathers? Yes. So
Yep.
when I wrote my first book, I had to take it to my siblings and ask them to read it.
And how
Let me
did that
know that
go?
it went fine. It went
Okay.
fine. I was fair. I was fair to my memory of what took place.
Okay.
And some people will read the book that's like, well, this about that, this and that about my mom and me and my mom's relationship. It is what it is. And we
Right.
would like for it not to be that way, but it
But
is
this
what it
is
is.
what it is.
So in
Mhm.
2012, I was with my mother on a road trip from North Carolina to Indiana. And she told me to my face she never loved me.
Oh wow.
And then I says, well, you had 5 kids. Didn't you love any of them?
Any of them?
She said no. I said, don't you know
Wow.
God wakes you up every day to change the relationships in your life. Don't you want that to happen? Don't you want to do that? She says, nope. In that reality right there, I
Mhm.
must be. I'm closer to my healing because normally I'm crying right now.
When you're talking about, oh yeah,
Right. So I'm not going to cry because I truly understand that I've done the work and I understand what belonged to me and what belongs to
to
her.
her. Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
So when she told me that, then I replayed because I'm into self-reflection, my
Mhm.
childhood, how we didn't call her mom or mommy. Uh, One time she brought her husband home. It's like going to the store and grocery store and come back with her husband. She did that, and the things she battled with, and
Mhm.
her job, how she didn't like her job, and she drank before she drank all the time, pretty much
Okay.
to cope. But I cannot make excuses for her. That's just what I saw. So when she told me that,
Mhm.
it was an epiphany. Okay, well maybe she don't. But also this, I can't afford to live like that.
Right.
And so that reminded me that now I've got kids that I must love. Because she did not love me, I knew not what love was.
And you didn't know did you know how to give love? Did you know how
No,
to
give,
yeah.
receive, none of that. I knew lust and sex.
Mhm.
That's why
Mhm.
I'm a dad of seven, you
Mhm.
know, and no one explaining any of that to me, nor did I. Now, this is where you become responsible,
Mhm.
nor did I know or sought to learn more. Because if you look at this wall behind me, I don't know if you can see it.
I could see degrees or something, or
That's Marine
what are
Corps
those?
stuff.
Marine Corps. Okay.
I can. There's nothing I can't do.
Right.
Right? There's nothing I can't do, but that's not in line with whether I should have done or I could have done. And when you're the strong one, no one
Mhm.
challenges you to look inside of you to see what motivates you to have that anger and
Mhm.
the anger that forges you to move forward. And the reason I call it anger, when young men are not connected to their dads, there's a greater chance of that. It's really energy, not anger.
Mhm.
But when that energy is not formed into a young man, it becomes anger. And now you explains why you see so many of them incarcerated and killing people and things like that and becoming a victim because it was not harnessed into the greater person they could be because you got to have mom and you have to have
And
dad.
that, right.
So being in the Marine Corps was the best place for my angry self to
Because you
be
could express that, a little of that there.
without
Mhm.
anybody questioning it.
Mhm.
And so that's what I went through. So then the book started manifesting into what is the real problem here. And so I just kept writing. The more I wrote,
Mhm.
the better I felt.
Because that's like journaling, getting it out, which is what we teach clients. And so I think Michelle said something.
Uh-huh.
I saw your flight. That was his dad. He really don't like talking to him or being around him too much. He has a lot of anger towards him. He treats his stepdad like his dad. He's been myself. Oh, hold on, myself for 3 years old. Okay, I saw your flight. That way he was. Michelle, clarify that for us.
Please. So when we I love you. When we
Oh,
don't,
Siri. Okay.
okay, what's the series say?
Yeah, Siri messed her up.
Oh, okay. Siri might be sipping. I'm just
Sounds like it,
saying,
right?
where Siri be at when you ain't paying attention to her? But yeah, it was that was so it was unloved, and then my third book was When You Wake Up.
Okay.
So now I'm starting to write my life just in case my kids don't see me, just in case they don't speak to me. Because
Hmm.
if I became that child that my mom and dad made, how can my kids love me? And I didn't know what to do. So what I started doing was writing and
Hmm.
surrendering to the conversations with my kids so they can help me to understand how they want to be loved. And I needed to find a way to tell them it took me years to even say how I needed to be loved,
Hmm.
you
Because you
know.
didn't know.
I
You
didn't know,
you
and
you
there's no
didn't
handbook, you
right.
know.
So
So
how
we
was quick
Mhm.
question, how was your relationship with your kids
Now or then?
then, back then?
Man, let me tell you. So in 2008, I was going to take my life, right?
Mhm.
And my daughter, Taylor, calls me up and she says, Dad, why don't you get on Facebook? I was like, why would I need to get on Facebook?
Mhm.
That's not where I need to be. She says, no, all the kids are on Facebook. I says, if I make it through the night, I'll get on Facebook. That was a long night,
Mm.
but I kept my word. And I got up the next morning. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I get up the next morning. I send everybody a Facebook request, and I go through their pages, and I'm like, wow, these guys are out there. What the hell is that? That's not even a full sentence. Why would you post that picture? Who do you think you're talking to? Y'all done lost y'all. What the hell?
Uh-huh.
And so what I took from that was it's my fault. I'm the
Mm.
guardrails.
Mm.
I'm the starting point of respect and self-respect and things like that. And I had did none of that. So that's what the climb out of the hole started right then. But it was really small until 2016. And that's
Mhm.
when I hit the gas because I wanted to be better for them. I didn't know how to be better for them. And I just started just asking them and thinking. Now, what I did not do, and I often run into people's like about prayer and things like that. That is a coping skill to me.
It is.
Is not an answer.
It is.
So I had to go talk to other dads. What do you do about this? And I would talk to the homeless veterans I had worked with because they weren't connected to their kids too. And I was like, how could you do that to them? And one of them says, plain as day, I grew up without a dad. I'm like,
I see that all the time in
yeah,
therapy, and there's no emotions attached to the
yeah,
relationship. It's just
yeah,
like, "That's my kid, that's my son, that's my daughter." That's the gist of it. There is
yes,
no connection to that, no parental correct connection to, and it's really it's hard to watch in therapy because I had my mom and dad. I had
yes.
both. And so I had a connection with both of them. So back to Michelle, Michelle saying what you were describing about young black men being angry because there's no connection with their dad. She said her son is just like that. Was just like that.
But that goes back to the title of the first book.
I
I
am my
am my
own
own
dad.
dad
Mhm.
because I'm the dad that I ever wanted to have. And if your son, Michelle, wants to prove a point, become a great man. Become a great man. Be the dad that he wished that man have done. Now, the only downside to it is when his son or his daughter says, "I love you, Dad." I want my son did it to me. He says, "I love you, Dad. I'm happy you're my dad." And I was like, I've got nobody to say that to.
Wow.
That's the downside.
Mhm.
I, as dad, have no one to say it to.
Mhm.
But him, he'll be able to say that I love you too. And then that reciprocation of love goes back and forth. And that'll just make it also
It builds that connection that
absolutely.
missing.
And it repairs the link that has been broken to step away from the dysfunction that comes from that. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, Dr. Dare. The
Mhm.
dysfunction it gets bigger and bigger. And before you know it, somebody's in jail or
Yep.
somebody's dead. And
Yep.
now if they have a child, they've allowed that to happen in their life too, in absence of their ignorance, because of their ignorance creates an absence in the child. And now, how's this connect with my PTSD? Because there's moments of injustice because mine was racially done to me, and the system, how the Marine Corps tries to protect itself when you blow the whistle and you want it to say this is a foul against me.
Mhm.
And they insulted my intelligence for like 3 years, and I'm going through this, and I'm losing weight, and I'm grinding my teeth. I'm not sleeping. You see what I'm saying?
So you're
So
saying they were ignoring the, when you were trying to advocate for
now it's two
yourself? Is that
different
what you're
things.
saying?
Yeah, no, no,
Okay.
no, no.
Okay.
The advocating for myself was the fight with them.
Mhm.
Me telling mental health people there's something wrong with me,
Okay.
that's another fight. So there's two
Got you.
things.
There's two
I'm
things
thinking
going
the
on.
right thing is to speak up for myself, and they're saying, no, that's not how we do things around here. And mind you, I was in 20 years already.
Wow.
So now I get out and I'm with my family. They put me on drugs. They put me on Ambien, all kind of sleep stuff and things like that. I'm sleepwalking. And
Mhm.
my ex was just finally, she was like, you've been a horrible husband. And I was like, well, I didn't know what I was doing anyway. And you should have killed me a long time ago for some of the things I've done.
Mhm.
But now she left me to myself, to my own demise, and I didn't go any lower. I was at my lowest point. That's why I say about the divorce. I was at my lowest point right there. And then what I did was just start inching out.
And isolating. Oh,
Well, the isolation because you're by yourself,
self.
but I
Right.
didn't know what I could do or what I should do until what happened at the job. So once that happened at the job, it's like, hey, I, I'm going to get help. I'm not going to
Mhm.
hesitate with this. I'm going, and that's what I did. If you embrace that journey,
Mhm.
to go downstairs and look in the basement and see what the hell is that?
Mhm.
And you flip up, that's not your name on that box. That's where it starts right there. You know, my Marine Corps issues were upstairs. You
Mhm.
know, they were current and they were with me, but these other issues, they were downstairs. And there was no crying.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, I remember in the first grade going to school and they were calling roll, and I didn't even know my name because they either called me by my nickname or they called me motherfucker.
Wow. So when the
And that's
teacher
what,
actually said your what they call government name, you were
yeah,
like, who are you talking?
right.
Wow.
You're Paul Posey. Oh, okay. And there you go.
Wow.
But then I just kept growing from there. So when you're a son of an addict or alcoholic,
Mhm.
you either become an enabler or a hero. So you see how much I know, right?
Mhm.
I'm the hero, and that's why I've done so much back there. And then my peers made me feel bad about my growth and then my achievements. So that was another thing on top of that. So finally, I'm in this space right now. I'm doing everything I can, and I'm modeling for my kids. I want them to be greater than me. I want them to love me. I have six and a half grandsons. I say a half because there's another one coming in about a week and a half.
Oh, okay.
That'd be seven. I
Uh-huh.
want them to look at me and say, this is my pawpaw, and this is what he's done. And also, I want them to know my truth. I've got no room for shame because the shame part is the conversations that need and should be had. Because if you don't, it will thoroughly be repeated.
That's that generational curse that people don't
Absolutely.
get.
And the curse is based on lies,
Yep.
hidden shame,
Shame, shame,
you name
guilt.
it, pain,
Yep.
being miserable,
Yep.
hoping somebody die before the truth comes out.
Yep.
So we can do this, but it's just on an individual basis. If I can do it, I know someone else can do it. But if they don't do it, for every man down in the shelter, there's a 50-year-old,
Mhm.
a 40-year-old wishing they can get that phone call. Just like I wrote it in the first book. In the back of that first book, it's about
Mhm.
if you call them, you'll change their life. They're angry and they're hurt because anger and hurt goes together, right?
Together, right.
And that way they can start the journey because they have a reason. When you're not calling them, you're not talking to them. That's a reason why I don't have to do the journey.
Yeah, and then I can isolate myself
Then
and
I guys and I
and
haven't.
yeah,
So that's what got me to my book, 75% Man, because
gotcha.
you're growing with that tumor
Mhm.
of not being loved, not being understood, angry, and all that. You have kids and you marry, it's still in there.
Yep.
And she's wondering what the hell's wrong with you. And you saying nothing. Like I used to lie. That was the biggest thing in my life was lying to myself about how I felt. If I tell you I feel good, and you treating me like I feel good, but in the inside, it's like, don't you know I'm fucking crashing over here?
Right.
And she's like, no, you said you feel good.
I see that in couples counseling
The
all the time.
lies,
Hmm.
the self lies.
Yep.
So, of course, you're going to lie to them about the negative things you're going to do or you've done. But the true lies is the lies you tell yourself, and it just spreads all out through the family. You know,
And that's where it just keeps going.
yes.
And so Michelle's comment says, but he does have his stepdad who's been there and still there since he was 3 years old. So he has a stepdad in place of his biological dad, I'm assuming.
So we have to understand this. I have a 18-year-old. His mother kept him away from me.
Hmm.
Nothing I did to her.
Okay.
Her choice. She even told her family that I was dead.
Do
Is
you
that like
see
a
how that
handbook or something like
history
that?
repeating itself? Because you said your mom said that to you.
Yes,
So
yes,
here,
yes.
okay, okay.
So to say that, I don't know where she got it from. And it would be nice, and I know probably it would be nice if all dads who didn't see their kids were jacked up people and ass clowns.
Hmm.
Sorry, ladies, we're all not. So I know he needed to see me as much as she tried to keep him away from me because he's 17 now. So the calls could have came. When you go into town, say, "Hey, I want to see you." Everybody's got something to do.
Right,
You know,
right.
People think that we don't want our kids. We love our kids, but the emotional jerking around for years has really made a toll on the relationship. But I made that journey in January to sit there and talk to him, to
Oh,
explain
good.
to him where I've been. Because that's the first question he asked me. He says, "So where you been?" And I laughed so hard is he has no clue that he's
What
been
is
kept from me.
what his mom was doing?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, here's what you can't do to kids. You just can't go in there and tell your side of the story. You have to wait till they ask for your side of the story.
And why do you
And when
think? Why is that?
because they're not ready.
Okay.
They're not ready to see their mothers in a different light. They're not
Mm,
ready for that back and forth uh uh correction, course correction, or to undo what's been told so many times about the relationship or not the relationship, you
mm-hmm,
know, and then that's tough. That's tough. So
mm-hmm,
when you try to do that, if they're really enthralled in what's been told to them, it's not going to work. But when they ask, and that's the only window you get to tell a truth,
mm-hmm.
and if we can, I recommend you almost have to practice the truth because your emotional constipation will make you just scream, "She's a horrible fucking person."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your kid ain't ready to hear that.
Hear that, right? Because this is the person that probably has been in their lives the most and been taking care of them. So they're not gonna be
That's
ready to
the
hear
source of
that.
love, and you're
Right.
not the source of love.
Exactly.
You're the source of finances when you pay your child support, but you're not the
Right.
source of love.
Right.
And so it was great to have that conversation. I'm glad he asked the questions that he did. Believe it or not, I wrote that in the book in 2016, and it played out sitting with him. And we spoke for 2 hours. He had a greater understanding of myself. I was
Good.
able to speak. But it was more so for him because I'm used to being denied my child.
Mm-hmm.
But if he grows up and becomes that angry boy who ends up going to jail or things like that, or he cannot love,
Mm-hmm.
or he's anti-authority, or he's anti-me, all those things, that's what could happen to him. And then he gets that tumor, and
Mm-hmm.
then he becomes a parent.
Mm-hmm. And then
And
it
then,
just the
well, my
cycle
dad
starts.
never spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
see, okay,
Michelle says
Michelle.
she has one thing. Okay, I try to keep them in touch, but he drinks a lot and call when he is drunk. So my son don't want to talk to him and never tries to come visit. And then she says another section, I never speak bad about his dad. I always tell him at the end of the day he is still your dad and there will be no disrespect towards him.
I think that's 97% wrong.
Oh, you think that's wrong?
I think that's wrong. The
Why?
truth is he drinks too much and he has emotional issues. That's why he can't have conversations with you. That's the truth.
So you feel like she should be telling
Yes. See, sometimes we think talking bad means
that you're hurting
adjective.
the. Hmm.
No, no, bad adjective. Your daddy ain't shit, things like that. Saying nothing is nothing.
Hmm.
So if you don't talk bad about, just tell the truth. Why are we so afraid of the truth? The truth is he has a drinking problem. And I bet you if you talk to his dad has a dad problem.
Uh-huh. It's the cycle. Yeah, it's just I see it
Yeah.
all the time
You
in
see what I'm
therapy.
saying? So
Mhm.
we cannot not tell him because why? Okay, this is a good one, Michelle.
Mhm.
Why did I leave my dad after meeting him after 27 years, 2 days?
I
So
was
the
gonna ask you that. Yeah. Why? What?
I'm a mind reader, Dr. Dear.
Mhm.
So what happened was I says, I'll be back after the first day I met him. I'll be back and I'm bringing my kids to meet you. And I'm going to stop by KFC and I'm going to get some food and
Mhm.
we're going to break bread together.
Okay.
Cause I was happy. I was really happy. And I get to KFC and I call the head about a block and a half, less than a half a mile from his house. And I called, I says, okay, what everybody want, blah, blah, blah. And I'm ordering food and things like that. I got two kids on my hip and one in the bassinet.
So
And
you're
I was like,
excited because you're like,
I'm
hey, I'm getting ready to
excited.
introduce my
I
dad to
mm,
his grandkids.
yes. So I pull up in the yard
Mhm.
and all I can smell is back then they called marijuana back
And
then, weed
weed,
or whatever. Yeah,
cannabis, one of the
yeah. And I could not believe he had the audacity to meet his grandkids.
high
Not
or.
only was he high, I have
Mhm.
three brothers and a sister in his world.
Mhm.
He was smoking with the boys.
Oh wow.
And I said, I mean, I know y'all wasn't just smoking. He said, well, me and the boys are just fooling around. He is so lucky that I didn't thoroughly beat his ass right then.
Mhm.
Because to bring my kids into you just not respect what is about to happen.
Mhm.
So I said to my kids, say hello to your granddaddy and say goodbye. This will be the last time you see him. So I broke bread with him and we left and I never went back.
Did he try to reach out and?
No,
No.
no, I had no problem with it because I wasn't going to respond because I had to make up my mind. Could I venture in this relationship and send my kids
Right.
to visit and be with him and trust him with my seed? No, I am the alpha and the omega
Right.
to my children. I am responsible. That was the first sign of these are mine,
Mhm.
because they were
And I
really
have to
little then,
protect them.
and I have
Right.
to protect them
Right.
from the unknown. Why? Because when they get molested over there or they get mistreated, who's responsible for introducing them to that man? I
You
am.
would have been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm thinking. That's my military mind says you're responsible now, and they can't go back.
Right.
Michelle said something else.
Let's see. But I do tell him that part, and yes, his dad has a dad problem too. But I explained to him his dad has a drinking problem, so he talks to his dad, but they don't have a bond.
Absolutely, but just stick with the truth. Just stick with the truth, because I hear so many women say, "I don't talk bad about him." You don't have to not talk bad about him. Just tell them the truth. So I hope that helps, Michelle. It's okay to tell the truth, and I think we as a culture should stick to the truth because the truth works. It's not your enemy, nor is your friend. It is what it is.
Because what do you think happens when they try to avoid telling the truth and just try to cover up and protect the dad image? What do you think
You're going
is
to
the
come to a
consequence
point
of
where the
that?
child's going to ask you, "How can you just tell me the truth?"
Mm.
We're that our kids are smarter than
They
you
are.
think they are.
I
We
tell
need to stop
my
thinking that,
they're
I got to the point
observant.
where I had to start asking my kids, "What did you see
Yep.
and what did you think you saw and what you know what I'm saying?" I had to actually have, and they're in their 20s at the time of this conversation. What
Hmm.
did you see and what did I see? And why was there a disconnect? And I tell you what, that's the bonding point right there when you allow them to
Getting
tell you what they
feedback.
saw,
Mhm.
good, bad, or indifferent, so you can have those conversations. I believe we should just always stick to the truth because you can't forget a lie. I mean, you
Gotcha.
will forget a lie, and then now you're a liar once
And
they
you're
figure out you
and
lied.
you're wondering what was the real reason
Right.
of what
And you have
happened.
no emotional credibility. The only
Right.
reason your kids listen to you is because you have emotional credibility. They can't get with you like that. They'll never trust you, and then there's a long journey to get back. I am so excited that my kids watch me fall down and get up. Not only did I get up, I'm I'm up and moving. This is not the best thing. Is like quit drinking, but I still have the mind of an addict.
Mhm.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mhm.
I don't have a mind of an addict. No, I want the mind of a whole man. And so I just keep addressing things. And that's so important for men to do that, even when moms can't.
Mhm.
You know, nothing against moms, but hey, we try to keep some things we don't want people to know. But man, they need to know it.
Right.
And when they
I agree.
ask, and that's what's hurt me the most is when I asked and the response I got hurt so bad because I didn't sign up for that.
Mhm.
I'm supposed to ask about your history. I'm supposed to ask how I got there. I'm trying to think. That was the beginning of 75% Man too. Uh,
Gotcha.
and I talk about missing pieces. Mom is, you got one jar, you got mom and you got dad pouring in the jar, and the jar is the kid. If one is missing, the world fills in the spaces until you get somebody like a good stepdad or a good stepmom.
Mhm.
And then that's so important that you find a way to get in that jar because society, and I don't like people to keep saying society says, because you are society. So you be society in that jar with your kids. So you
Mhm.
got you and you be society if you don't have dad there. Now, here's what happens, and this is our culture.
Mhm.
My dad passed away in 2007.
Okay.
His wife calls me up. I'm still in the Marine Corps, and she says, hey, your dad's about to expire. Uh, Thank you, Karen. Your dad's about to expire. Do you want to come see him? And I says, what's he passing from? And she says, uh, complications of Alzheimer's. And I said to
Mhm.
her, well, he's not going to remember me anyway. I'm not coming.
Mhm.
People want that love that they created, never tapped in at the end of their
At the
day.
end of their life, yep.
And you cannot get anything that you didn't pour into.
Right.
So he was not going to get relief because I'm his oldest child. And he told his wife he had no kids, but I was born. So I'm the elder. Let me
Wow.
tell you, I'm gonna tell you, you know what the most embarrassing thing of this
Mhm.
whole ordeal?
Mhm.
I've got three brothers and I got a set of twins behind me.
Mhm.
And I'm telling my brother, I just met my three new brothers, Kevin, Lavelle, and James. And my brother says to me, you mean Kevin, Lavelle, and James that live off of 42nd Avenue in Delaware? You're shitting me. You know them? I hang out with them all the time.
He,
What?
did he know that they were?
No, they couldn't have known because he's dead.
Oh my gosh.
And they didn't have the same last name as me.
So you just think that's neighborhood boys
No,
that he?
no, because I'm 4 years older than my younger brothers. So I would have never
Okay.
hung out with those guys anyway.
Anyway. Okay.
Right. So to come to find out, I'm so embarrassed that my brothers knew my brothers. And she knew. She knew he lived in the same area.
Your mom knew.
Yes, she
Okay.
knew. Yeah, she even brazenly told me, I seen him at the grocery store. I said, you seen him at the now this is after that.
Uh
You seen
huh.
him at the grocery store, but you didn't say nothing to me. Your decision making brings about children, lives.
Right. Right.
You're responsible. And that's why I put that in the book too. I told it all because I'm tired of us half telling the truth. And then we'll get mad and we'll be angry. My mother would just flip out and make sure we wouldn't even finish the conversation.
Wow.
So we haven't spoken since 2012, the day she told me that.
Wow. Because
And
then that's teaching poor communication as well. So nobody's communicating about what's going on. There's no emotions, and it just keeps that generational curse going on.
no,
But
no,
I
no,
see
not
all of
necessarily.
this.
It could be. It could be
Hmm.
if I would like told my kids don't talk to my mother. That's what
No,
make
I'm
it feel.
saying her
Oh,
for you and your situations because she wasn't communicate every time you try to
yes. Oh,
communicate
I see what
about
you're saying.
something, she shut it down by
Yes.
becoming angry or whatever. So
Yeah.
that was to me creating communication issues about real issues in the family because I always ask people when they come in, how did your family communicate about issues when you were growing up? And
Yes.
most people will say, oh, we didn't talk about anything, or we pushed things under the rug, or we were told to shut up, or we were told. And I'm like, well, you're carrying that same communication style into your relationship because you, just like you said, you didn't learn how to love. Some people don't learn how to communicate because in the household everybody is told to shut down when you start expressing any kind of
Absolutely.
concerns or emotions. So that's where I was going with that.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh, no, 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 no
But
problem.
at some point you have to decide where this family is going to go,
Right.
and that's where you break it. You break it off. I can't say it's a curse. I say it's emotional laziness. It's not a curse. You're
Well,
lazy. It takes a lot for you to do it. You know, the courage. You're a coward if you
okay.
don't make those changes for your family.
But what about people who don't realize that there is a problem? Because I get that in therapy a lot.
Everybody else around you know.
Yeah, but you don't, because
Right.
you think that's my personality, that's my characteristics, that's my. But in reality, because I have a guy right now, and I'm telling you, he is this. I see it, I hear it, but he's nothing. There's nothing
You know,
wrong,
well, he could probably, if you got him to look at the list of failed relationships he has.
and that's what we're gonna work through that. But that's why.
Yeah.
See, it
Oh, when he
takes.
came in, he had no clue.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
just started
yeah,
working with him. He
yeah.
just doesn't have that
We
emotional
should.
maturity,
Uh, you got a choice. If you don't have any kids, then you can stay like that.
but he
But if
has.
you're going to have kids,
Hmm.
you're responsible for their growth and the evolution of them. And
Right.
if you're not going to apply yourself, that's when they start dissing you and cutting you out, and they're disrespectful and things like that because they've been around people who've been loved. See, when we stay in the house, in this
Hmm.
house,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as dysfunctional.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
There's not.
normal.
Right. Until you go hanging out with those people next door
Then you're
and you
like,
decide you
wait a
want to
minute.
love somebody,
Hmm.
now the cat's out of the bag
Yeah.
and something wrong with us over here.
Yeah.
But, I
That's
did
when
it
they
for my
see it though,
kids.
when they get married though, or something like
Yes.
that.
She finds out. There was a post the other day. A wife knows her husband. She knows everything about her husband. But sometimes we get married so fast. Now,
So
six
we
of
don't
my
get
books
to
is a
know each
dating
other.
book. It's
Oh,
about
really?
relationships. Yeah.
Okay. What's
Uh,
the name of that one?
it's called Be Undumpable.
Oh.
So I grouped them together, six of them into one book to call it Be Undumpable. It talks about the search. It talks about your relationship IQ. It talks
Okay.
about flags and whistles with yellow flags and red flags and things like that. It talks about sex, why we
Mhm.
have sex, what
Mhm.
is the purpose of sex, all that's in there. You know, at first when I was writing books, it was like you have to be a scholar and you have to do this. No, you have to live, fail,
Mhm.
fail, live and fail, and then learn. Start
Mhm.
learning everything from all those things. And that's kind of how I wrote those books, those series of books, because the key to family dysfunction is finding somebody that's dysfunctional who hides it from you. You make a baby with them, and the cycle keeps going
Yep.
because you didn't ask questions. You didn't
Right.
want to ask questions. There's women who will meet men, won't even Google them.
You know what I tell my female clients is
What's that?
you need to collect data when you meet
Absolutely.
somebody. Collect, ask questions,
That's what
ask.
dating is. Dating
Mhm.
is
And that's what I tell
collecting
them.
data.
Yep.
But they're so quick to hit the gas in dating and call dating a relationship,
And
I
then those
highly recommend you
emotions,
don't.
and the emotions come in and they take over.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
then you smear it over like butter so it'll fit in that round peg into a square hole
Yep.
because you invested time and emotions. And
Yep.
that's where we go wrong right there. And some men know that, but
Mhm.
some people have some flags that it takes about 90 days to see it really unfold.
But
And
then it's
so,
almost too late for some of them because they still try to push past those red
well, because
flags.
women want relationships,
Right.
and
Right.
sometimes at any cost.
At any
And then
cost.
men who have not established themselves need relationships with women who are established. You know,
For
what's that balance?
companionship, for support, but not.
Absolutely, but not for
Mhm.
love, not for the
Not for
growth of
love.
family.
Right.
But I say there's 5 things we must understand about people. First, we need to know who made them. Let's see if I can get my hand up there. First, we
Okay.
need to know who made them. What did they do to you? What did you do about what they did to you?
Okay.
Who did you become because of them? And who you
Mhm.
want to be? You're going to have to go through all that.
Mhm.
Now, how long it takes you is up to you. But some people still cater to their angry parents.
Mhm.
They have not. So like, hey, you're too toxic for me, mom.
Let me
They're,
disconnect.
right. They just want to stay in there, and the parents who are not loving their kids are getting love. There's no reciprocation there. I could not keep giving to a stone and get nothing
Right.
in return.
Right.
So what I did was I started finding a way to love my kids. They're loving me back. So we're going back and forth now. I
Good.
can't. You're responsible for that line that goes down. You're not responsible going up
Mhm.
because they are responsible to come down. So if they won't do it, you're going to just have to break the cycle and just start doing what you think you want your kids to have. You want to be honest, you want to be
Mhm.
forthright, you want to be driven, you want to
Mhm.
be an entrepreneur, you want to be so many things because they will do what you do.
Mhm.
Trust that. But we like for a way out. They say you can have all the same kids by the same parents living in the same household. If you dig deep enough, you
Mhm.
find out there's some missing pieces, even though they're in the house every day.
Oh yeah.
Because that proper modeling is not happening, and you're willing to just push it along to the side. Well, I had my mom and dad.
Mhm.
Your dad was a crackhead, right? He disappeared for like a week and a half, and
Mhm.
he'd come back, or he'd go to work and come back broke. And then you
Mhm.
start telling your stories when you're hanging out with your friends, and now you really understand my dad was clearly an addict.
Yeah, something was wrong. I
Yeah.
thought it was okay, but
And then
something
we
was.
have to live with that fallout. But that's
Yeah.
why I wrote all those books because I want better families. Better families make better kids. Better kids make better adults. Better adults make better families.
Right.
We're kind of missing the boat when we're talking about economics and all those other things without the love.
Yeah, you can't even get to to those things.
It's
But
going to
we
lead you to the other traps.
okay. So any questions? Because we're getting ready to shut this down. Any questions out there for Paul?
For Michelle, adult kids will seek their parents out. They will. So even though he's not
That's
talking to
true.
him, your
Hmm.
stepdad's going to give him some gems and some things that's going to help him to be the best man he can be, and then he's going to confront his dad. It'll be later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you. I'm gonna give you your Friday night back. Thank you, Paul. Go check all his information is in this the comment section of this video. Make sure you share this video. There was a lot of great information there. Thank you for coming. I could just keep talking to you for hours. I'm gonna have you back so we can finish,
Oh yeah, I'm got
talking
my next
more.
book. So
Yeah.
I got one more book. It's called Damaged Goods, Dating After Therapy. You're gonna
Damaged
want me
goods.
dating after therapy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody, and have a good night. Thank you, Paul, again, and we will have you back on.
Hoorah.